The galaxy was silent when the human was brought into the great alien court. Thousands of alien eyes watched him from floating seats made of light and metal. The human stood alone with his hands bound. His name was Ethan. Humans were the weakest species in the galaxy. At least that is what the aliens believed. They were new, few in number, and had no powerful allies to the alien empires. Humans were nothing more than useful workers, or easy targets. The council chamber echoed with strange voices speaking in many alien languages. At the center floated the high judges, ancient beings who decided life and death. They looked down at Ethan like he was an insect trapped in glass. Ethan did not beg. He did not shout. He simply stood and looked forward. That calm made the aliens uncomfortable. The lead judge spoke slowly, his voice cold and heavy. The human is guilty of entering restricted space. The human is guilty of resisting capture. The human is guilty of insulting the authority of the Galactic Council. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some aliens laughed. Others watched with curiosity. The judge raised one claw. The punishment is death, but not a quick death. The lights in the chamber changed color. A massive image appeared above them. It showed a dark planet covered in storms, fire, and giant shadows moving across the surface. This is Karen 9, a death world. No intelligent life has ever survived there. No ship can land safely. No creature escapes. The council decided the human would be sent there alive, not as mercy, but as entertainment. The execution would be broadcast across the empire. Millions would watch the human die. It would be a warning to others. Ethan felt his chest tighten. He had heard stories of death worlds. Even the strongest aliens feared them. The judge leaned forward. You will be sent alone. You will have no weapons. No supplies, no rescue. The crowd reacted with excitement. Some aliens cheered. Others placed bets on how long the human would last. Ethan finally spoke. His voice was calm, but strong. You think this will break us? You are wrong. Laughter exploded through the chamber. A weak human speaking of strength sounded like a joke to them. Guards dragged Ethan away. Cold metal cuffs locked tighter around his wrists. As he was pulled through long corridors, screens lit up everywhere. His face was already being shown to the galaxy. The transport ship was small and old. It had only one purpose, one-way travel. Ethan was thrown into the launch chamber. The door sealed with a heavy sound. The ship began to shake outside. Aliens gathered to watch the launch. This was a show. A moment of fun in their endless lives. The countdown started. 5, 4, 3. Ethan closed his eyes. He thought of Earth, of blue skies and quiet nights, of people who would never know how he died. 2, 1. The ship launched into the darkness. Stars rushed past as the ship jumped through space. The journey was fast. Too fast. Suddenly the ship shook violently. Alarms screamed. Fire burst from the walls. Charon 9 filled the screen ahead, a massive planet covered in red storms and black clouds. Lightning cracked across its surface like veins of fire. The ship burned as it entered the atmosphere. Ethan was thrown against his restraints. Pain exploded through his body. The aliens watching cheered. This was the best part. The ship crashed hard into the ground. Metal screamed and broke. Fire consumed the wreck. For a moment, there was silence. Then the camera drones adjusted. They searched the crash site. No movement, no sound. Aliens across the galaxy laughed and celebrated. The human was dead, just as expected. But deep inside the wreckage, a hand moved. Ethan coughed and pulled himself free from twisted metal. Blood ran down his face. His body hurt, but he was alive. The air of the planet was thick and heavy. The ground shook beneath his feet. A distant roar echoed across the land. Ethan slowly stood. Smoke rose around him. Dark shapes moved beyond the firelight. Something big was watching. Very big. The ground trembled again. Trees snapped in the distance. A massive shadow stepped closer. Ethan felt fear, real fear, but he did not run. He looked into the darkness and whispered, "If this is where I die, I will not die screaming." Behind the storm clouds, unseen by the alien viewers, two glowing eyes opened, and the real test began. Ethan woke slowly as pain spread through his body. His head was ringing and his vision was blurred. The smell of smoke and burned metal filled the air. He tried to move and a sharp pain shot through his side. Something was broken, but he was alive. The crash site was surrounded by fire and twisted metal. The sky above was dark red with thick clouds moving fast. Lightning flashed again and again, lighting up the land for brief moments. Ethan pulled himself out of the wreckage. Each movement felt heavy. The ground beneath his feet felt warm. Almost alive, he looked around carefully. Tall black trees stood like broken spears. Strange plants moved slowly as if they were breathing. The silence was wrong. Too heavy, too watchful. Ethan knew one thing clearly. This planet was hunting him. He tore a piece of metal from the ship and used it as a weapon. It was sharp and hot at the edge. Not much, but better than nothing. He limped away from the burning wreck. Every step was slow and painful. Behind him, the fire rose higher, acting like a signal to anything nearby. That was when he heard it, a low sound, deep and slow, like the breath of something massive. Ethan froze. The sound came from the trees. Something was moving. The ground shook with heavy footsteps. Leaves and branches snapped loudly. A shadow passed between the trees. Larger than any animal Ethan had ever seen. His heart raced. His hands tightened around the metal shard. From the darkness, glowing shapes appeared. Not eyes. Too many. Too small. Creatures crawled out from the shadows. Thin bodies, long claws, sharp teeth. They moved fast and low to the ground. Ethan backed away slowly. He counted at least 6. More shadows moved behind them. Then the deep sound returned, louder this time. The small creatures froze instantly. The ground trembled again. A massive shape moved behind the trees. The small creatures screamed and scattered. Disappearing into the darkness, Ethan stood shaking. He had been saved, but not rescued. The massive presence faded away, leaving only silence and fear behind. Ethan collapsed to the ground. His body could not hold anymore. He stayed there for a long time, watching the sky. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time felt strange on this planet. When he finally stood again, the storm had moved farther away. The air was still heavy. The land was quiet. Ethan knew he could not stay near the crash site. More creatures would come. He needed shelter. He found a rocky area nearby and crawled into a narrow space between stones. It was dark and tight, but it hid his heat and smell. Night came quickly. The planet grew colder. Strange sounds echoed from every direction, roars, screeches, deep rumbling calls that made his chest vibrate. Ethan stayed silent, barely breathing. Something passed close to his hiding place. He could feel its weight through the stone. He thought of the aliens watching, laughing, believing he was already dead. That thought burned inside him, not anger, but stubborn strength. When morning came, the sky turned dark orange. The storms rested for a short time. Ethan crawled out carefully. He found water dripping from a rock wall. He drank slowly. It tasted bitter, but kept him alive. Using broken ship parts, he made a simple cutting tool. He wrapped his injured side with torn fabric. Human skills, simple ideas, small steps. That was how humans survived. Later that day, he felt the ground shake again. The deep sound returned, closer now. Ethan climbed onto a rock to see better. His breath caught in his throat. The massive creature stood in the open, tall as a building, covered in thick dark scales. Long horns curved from its head. Its eyes burned with dull golden light. This was the ruler of this land, the reason nothing else stayed nearby. The beast was injured. Dark blood ran down its side. A broken spike was stuck deep in its flesh. The creature roared in pain, not anger, pain. Ethan felt something change inside him. He could hide, he could wait, but he stepped forward instead. The beast turned its head slowly, its eyes locked onto Ethan. Death stood only a few steps away. Ethan raised his empty hands. He spoke softly, not words. Just calm sound. The beast watched him. Breathing hard, its body trembled. Ethan moved closer, step by step. Every instinct screamed at him to run, but he did not. He reached the broken spike and pulled it free with all his strength. The beast roared loudly, shaking the land. Ethan was thrown back. Hitting the ground hard, pain exploded through his body. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the beast lowered its massive head. Its breath washed over Ethan. Hot and heavy, instead of killing him, it stepped back. The golden eyes stayed on him, not with rage, but something else. Trust far above the planet. Alien viewers had already turned away. They believed the human story was over. But on the death world, something impossible had just begun. Ethan stayed on the ground for a long time. He did not move. He did not breathe loudly. The massive beast stood above him like a living mountain. Its shadow covered Ethan completely. The golden eyes watched every small movement. Ethan slowly pushed himself up. His body screamed in pain. But he forced himself to stand. The beast took one heavy step back, not in fear, but in warning. Ethan understood. He stopped. He lowered his hands. The wound on the beast's side was deep. Dark blood still flowed. Its breathing was uneven and heavy. Ethan realized something important. This creature was strong, but it was dying. The planet was silent again. Even the distant screams of other creatures were gone. Everything stayed away from this place. Ethan tore more fabric from his clothes. Slow movements, no sudden actions. He pointed to the wound, then to himself, then slowly wrapped the cloth around his own arm. Showing what he wanted to do, the beast tilted its head. Its eyes narrowed. It watched carefully. After a long moment, the beast lowered its body. Not fully, but enough that was permission. Ethan stepped forward. Every step felt like walking toward death. He reached the wound again. The flesh around it was hot. The smell of blood filled the air. Ethan worked slowly. Pressing the cloth against the wound, the beast growled softly. Not angry, not threatening, just pain. Ethan kept going. He used broken metal to cut away damaged scales. He cleaned the wound with water. His hands shook. But he did not stop. Minutes passed. Or maybe hours. Finally, the bleeding slowed. The beast's breathing became steadier. Ethan stepped back, exhausted, barely standing. The beast rose to its full height again. The ground shook under its weight. Ethan waited. This was the moment. The beast leaned forward. Its massive head lowered until its eyes were level with Ethan. Its breath covered him, hot and deep. Then it did something impossible. It touched Ethan gently with its head. Not an attack, not a threat, a mark of acceptance. Ethan fell to his knees, not from fear. From relief, that night, the storms returned. Rain fell like heavy stones from the sky. Lightning split the clouds again and again. Ethan hid beneath the beast's massive body. Protected from the rain and wind, no creature came close, none dared. For the first time since landing on the death world, Ethan slept. When morning came, the beast was still there, watching the horizon. Ethan stood slowly. He spoke softly. Simple sounds, calm tone. The beast responded with a low rumble, not a roar, a sound of presence. Ethan named the beast in his mind, Rax. As the days passed, a strange routine formed. Rax hunted. Ethan followed at a distance, learning, watching. Rax scared away smaller predators without effort. Its name was feared across the land. Ethan learned the signs of the planet. When storms would come, when creatures would hunt, when the ground itself became dangerous, he used bones and metal to make better tools. Simple human ideas, sharp edges, fire. Rax watched him closely, curious, silent one day. A group of creatures attacked together. Fast, intelligent, dangerous, Ethan was trapped between rocks. No escape. Before he could react, Rax charged, the earth shook. The creatures were crushed or scattered. Rax stood between Ethan and danger. A living wall. Ethan realized the truth then. He was no longer prey. Far above, alien observers glanced at old recordings. Static screens, no movement, no signs of life. They confirmed the human was dead. They removed the story from public channels. The entertainment was over, on the planet below. Ethan climbed onto Rax's massive back for the first time. Rax did not resist, did not move. From that height, Ethan saw the land clearly. Ruins, broken structures, old alien technology buried in stone. This planet was not always a death world. Something had happened here long ago. As Rax moved forward, Ethan felt a new feeling rise in his chest. Not fear, not anger, purpose. The galaxy believed the human was gone. But on the deadliest world ever known, a human and a beast were becoming something far more dangerous. And this time, the galaxy would not see it coming. Days turned into weeks on the death world. Ethan stopped counting time. Survival became his only clock. Rax healed slowly. The wound closed. The dark blood dried and hardened into thick scars. With each passing day, Rax grew stronger. Its movements became faster, its roars louder. The land itself seemed to move aside when it walked. Ethan learned more about the planet by watching Rax. Which areas were safe, which valleys meant death, which sounds meant run, and which meant hide. The storms came without warning. Walls of fire in the sky, rain that burned the skin. Winds strong enough to throw rocks during those storms. Ethan hid beneath Rax or inside ancient stone caves. Caves that showed strange markings on the walls. Alien symbols, old, broken, forgotten. Ethan realized something frightening. This world was once home to an advanced civilization. Not weak, not small, but powerful. Something had wiped them out one day. While exploring deeper ruins, Ethan found metal buried under stone. Not natural technology. He cleared the dust carefully, revealing a damaged alien signal device. Old, cracked, but not completely dead. Hope sparked inside him. Small, dangerous, he worked on it slowly, using simple tools, cleaning wires, fixing broken connections. Rax stood guard, watching the horizon, growling at distant movement, each time Ethan touched the device. The planet seemed to react. The ground vibrated. The air felt heavy. That night, Ethan activated the device for the first time. A weak light blinked, then died. He tried again. And again. Finally, the device powered on. A soft hum filled the cave. Ethan froze, listening far away. Something answered. A deep echo rolled across the land. Not Rax, something older. Rax roared in warning, its body tensed, its eyes fixed on the darkness beyond the cave. Ethan shut the device down immediately. His heart raced. He understood now. Sending a signal meant danger, not just rescue. The planet did not like being noticed. Over the next days, Ethan prepared. He reinforced shelters, stored water, sharpened tools. He trained his body. Pain became normal. Fear became controlled. One morning, while standing on a high ridge with Rax, Ethan saw movement in the sky. Not storm clouds, ships, alien ships. They were old patrol vessels. Scanning the planet, probably routine checks. Looking for nothing. Ethan's breath stopped. This was his chance. Or his end. Rax growled low, feeling Ethan's tension. Ethan raised the signal device. His hand shook. If he sent the signal, aliens would come. If he stayed silent, he would remain a ghost forever. He looked at Rax. The beast looked back, calm, ready. Ethan activated the device fully. A strong pulse shot into the sky. Cutting through storms and clouds, the ground shook violently. The planet screamed from deep underground. Ancient machines began to wake. Lights flickered beneath the surface. Old defenses stirred. Rax roared louder than ever before. A warning to the world itself. In orbit, alien ships froze. Their systems reacted. Alarms sounded. A signal appeared on their screens. Clear, impossible. I am alive. The alien crews stared in disbelief. No life had ever survived Karen 9. No signal had ever come from its surface. Before they could respond, the signal cut out. Ethan shut the device down and ran. Rax moved instantly, carrying Ethan across the land at terrifying speed. Behind them, the planet changed, the ground opened. Ancient weapons rose from stone, storms twisted into violent spirals. Something was coming, something awakened. Ethan realized the truth too late. The death world was not just a prison, it was a lock. And his signal had turned the key far above. The Alien Council received the alert. A human signal. From a dead world, fear spread through the chamber. Laughter vanished. On the surface, Ethan clung to Rax as the land shook apart. He had survived death. He had broken the rules. Now the galaxy was watching again, and this time they were afraid. The alien patrol ships stayed frozen in orbit. Their crews stared at the signal again and again, a human signal from Karen 9. That was not possible. Officers shouted orders. Scanners were pushed to maximum range. Every sensor screamed warnings. The death world was waking up. On the surface, Ethan held tightly as Rax ran across broken land. Massive cracks opened behind them. Ancient lights glowed beneath the ground. The planet itself felt angry. Rax moved faster than any creature should, dodging falling stone. Leaping over rivers of fire, Ethan looked back once and saw shapes rising from the earth, towering machines made of black metal and glowing cores. Old guardians, not alive, but not dead. They did not chase, they watched, as if judging. Rax carried Ethan toward the high plateaus where the storms were weaker. The signal device burned hot in Ethan's hand. Cracked, unstable. In orbit, the patrol commander made a decision. They would land, not out of courage, but fear. If a human had survived, if the planet had defenses, the council had to know. A landing craft broke from the fleet, fighting violent winds and lightning. Its hull burned as it descended. The galaxy began to watch again. Unauthorized feeds spread across alien networks. Whispers turned into panic. The human was alive. Ethan saw the ship falling from the sky. A bright line cutting through storm clouds. Rax stopped and roared. The sound rolled across the land like thunder. The landing craft crashed hard, but stayed intact. Alien soldiers poured out, weapons raised, their hands shaking. They expected monsters, fire, death. They did not expect a human standing calmly. With a legendary beast at his side, Rax stepped forward. The ground trembled. Weapons locked on instantly. Ethan raised one hand, slow, clear, do not fire. The soldiers froze. Fear locked their bodies. Rax lowered its head slightly. A warning, not an attack. The aliens recognized the beast immediately. Ancient records flashed through their minds. The World Breaker, the Apex Guardian, a creature that once wiped fleets from the sky. And it stood beside a human. Ethan spoke again, calm and steady. "You sent me here to die. I survived?" The alien commander stepped forward slowly. "Impossible. No being survives Karen 9. Ethan looked at the planet behind him. Humans survive where others give up, behind them. The ancient machines moved again. Slow, massive. The commander swallowed. His voice shook. "We must leave." But Ethan shook his head. Not yet. He knew the truth now. If they left without understanding, the Council would return with fleets, with bombs, and the planet would answer with destruction. Ethan looked at Rax, then at the alien commander. "Tell your Council this. The Death World is not yours. It never was." The commander sent the message, live feed, unfiltered. Across the galaxy, billions watched. The human who was sent to die, standing alive, unbroken. The council chamber filled with silence, faces once full of laughter, now pale with fear. Ethan continued, "You wanted entertainment. You created a witness." Behind him, Rax roared again, and the ancient guardians fully rose from the ground. Their lights pointed skyward. The message was clear. "Do not come closer." The feed cut suddenly, but the damage was done. The galaxy had seen the impossible on the surface. The alien soldiers slowly boarded their ship. Never turning their backs on Rax, the craft lifted off, leaving Ethan standing alone again. But this time, he was no prisoner. As the ship disappeared into the storm clouds, Ethan felt something change. The galaxy would return. With fear, with questions, with demands. Rax stood beside him, unmoving, a silent promise of strength. The human had returned from death, and the galaxy was no longer laughing. The patrol ship reached orbit in silence. No victory report, no celebration, only fear. The commander sent the full recording to the Galactic Council. No edits, no filters. The moment Ethan appeared on the screen, alive, calm, standing beside the legendary beast, the council chamber exploded into chaos. Voices shouted over each other. Claws slammed against crystal floors. Wings flared in anger and fear. That is impossible. A human cannot survive Karen 9. But the image did not change. Ethan stood unbroken. Rax towered behind him like a living weapon. The high judge who had sentenced Ethan leaned back slowly, his confidence gone, his voice shaking. How did a human do this? No one answered. Across the galaxy, reactions spread fast. Alien worlds went silent. Military bases went on alert. Trade routes paused. The story spread faster than the council could control it. The human who refused to die. The beast who bowed to him. Old records were reopened. Ancient data long ignored was pulled from archives. Karen 9 was not just a death world. It was a sealed world, a prison built by an ancient race. The Guardians were not defenses. They were wardens, and Rax was not a monster. It was a key. Back on the planet, Ethan felt the change before he saw it. The storms grew quieter. The land settled. The planet was watching him now, not as prey, but as a choice. Rax led Ethan to a massive stone structure hidden beneath layers of rock. Doors older than memory slowly opened as they approached. Inside, light filled the chamber. Symbols glowed on the walls, images of worlds burning. Fleets destroyed. Ethan understood. This planet was built to stop something worse. Something that once nearly destroyed the galaxy. Above, the council argued endlessly. Some demanded immediate attack. Others demanded retreat. But one truth stood above all. If they attacked, the planet would answer. And the answer would not be small. A message request appeared suddenly on Ethan's signal device. Priority level maximum. The council wanted to speak. Ethan activated the channel. The high judges appeared on the screen. No longer towering, no longer laughing. "You will explain yourself," the lead judge said. Ethan shook his head slowly. "No, you will listen." Silence fell across the chamber. A human speaking that way to the council was unheard of. "You sent me to die," Ethan continued. "You wanted fear. You wanted a lesson." He stepped aside, showing the ancient chamber behind him, showing Rax standing still like a statue of power. "You almost broke the lock. If you come here with weapons, this world will not stop at defending itself." The judges exchanged fearful looks. "What do you want?" one asked quietly. Ethan answered without hesitation. "Recognition, respect, and protection for my species." Rax released a low rumble that echoed through the chamber walls. A warning, not a threat, for the first time in galactic history. The council bowed their heads. Humans would no longer be classified as weak. Human space would be protected. No human would ever be sent to a death world again. The vote passed, not from kindness, but survival instinct across the galaxy. The announcement spread. Humans elevated. Humans feared. Humans respected. On the death world, Ethan shut down the channel, his hands shaking slightly. He had faced monsters, storms, death itself. But standing up to the galaxy had been the hardest battle of all. Rax stepped closer, placing its massive head beside him. The bond was sealed. Far away, fleets changed their paths. Old enemies reconsidered their plans. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. A human pushed too far does not break. He changes everything. The galaxy did not sleep after the council decision. Fear moved faster than light. Respect followed close behind, on hundreds of worlds. Aliens replayed the footage again and again. The humans standing calm, the beast standing loyal. The death world bowing instead of killing. Old beliefs began to crack. Humans were not weak. They were patient back on Karen 9. Ethan stood at the edge of a high cliff with Rax beside him. Storms rolled far away now. The sky above was clearer than ever before. The planet felt different, not hostile, not angry, aware. Ethan knew his work was not finished. The ancient threat sealed within the planet was still there, waiting, watching. Rax led Ethan deeper into the ancient structure one final time. Massive doors opened fully now, as if the planet accepted him. Inside, a central chamber glowed with soft golden light. A core floated in the air. Alive with energy, images filled the space. The ancient enemy, a force that consumed stars, that bent entire species to its will. This world was never meant to kill. It was meant to guard. And Rax was its last sentinel, until now. The core reacted to Ethan's presence. Symbols changed, new patterns formed. A message appeared in simple universal code. Guardian recognized, bond accepted. Ethan felt the weight of it settle on his shoulders. He was no longer just a survivor. He was a choice made by the planet itself. Above, the council sent another request. Not an order, a request. They asked Ethan to leave the planet. To return as proof, as peace. Ethan considered it carefully. If he left, the galaxy would see a legend. If he stayed, the galaxy would stay afraid. He made his decision. Ethan sent a final message. Humans will not rule through fear. But we will not accept chains again. Rax roared once. A sound that echoed through space itself. The council accepted the terms. Human territories were granted equal status. Human fleets were recognized. Human voices were finally heard. For the first time, not as servants, but as equals. Weeks later, a human ship approached Karen 9, careful, respectful. Ethan walked forward with Rax at his side. The landing crew froze in awe. A human and a living legend. Ethan turned back one last time, Placing his hand against Rax's massive scales, "This world is safe," he whispered. Rax lowered its head slowly, accepting the duty. The bond would never break. Even across the stars, as Ethan boarded the ship, the galaxy watched silently. No cheers, no laughter. Only understanding. The ship lifted off, leaving the death world untouched, protected. News spread like wildfire. The human who returned with the beast. The death world that chose a guardian. Stories turned into warnings. Warnings turned into respect on Earth. People looked up at the stars differently, no longer afraid, no longer small. Because somewhere out there, a human had faced the worst and changed everything, and on a silent, deadly world. A beast stood alone under calm skies, watching, waiting. For the day, the galaxy forgot the lesson again. Because if that day came, humanity would not be alone, and the stars would remember why they learned to fear and respect a human who refused to die.